3 ways to stay strong around hurtful people. When you're dealing with hurtful people, the first thing you must remember is that your peace is not something you negotiate. It's something you guard. You don't stay strong by reacting to every insult, every mood, or every attempt to pull you into their chaos. You stay strong by protecting your emotional space like it's sacred territory. Distance is not a weakness, it's a strategy. When someone drains you, steps back give you clarity, and clarity gives you power. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to explain, defend, or justify. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give, and when you do speak, speak with intention, not emotion. A calm tone cuts deeper than any comeback. Strength is also recognizing patterns instead of falling for excuses. People show you who they are by repeating behaviors, not by offering apologies. Don't get attached to their potential. Pay attention to their reality. And above all, do not let their words define you. Their cruelty is a reflection of their own wounds, not your worth. Your identity, confidence, and self-respect must remain untouched by the way they act. That is how you stay strong around hurtful people. By knowing who you are, protecting your energy, and refusing to break for someone who isn't even whole within themselves. There are moments in life when God whispers to your spirit long before your mind understands what's happening. And one of the clearest signs of His protection is the discomfort you feel around certain people. That tightening in your chest, that sudden confusion, that sense of emotional heaviness. That is not random. That is God warning you. He doesn't shout, He nudges. He doesn't always remove people immediately. He reveals their true nature slowly, so you can see what He's been trying to tell you all along. When someone enters your life and instantly disturbs your peace, pay attention. When your joy starts fading every time they walk into the room, pay attention. God's first warning is always the shift in your spirit. You don't need proof, you don't need evidence, and you don't need a long list of reasons. That uneasy feeling is the evidence. God protects you emotionally before He protects you physically. So when the energy feels heavy, when the conversation drains you, or when something about them feels off, trust that God speaks through peace, and when there is no peace, there is a message. Another warning God gives you is through repeated patterns. Not once, not twice, but many times. Because God knows humans tend to ignore red flags the first time. You'll notice someone's words won't match their actions. They'll promise loyalty but deliver inconsistency. They'll ask for your support but never support you back. They'll show up only when it benefits them but disappear when you need them. And here's the thing, God doesn't expose them to embarrass you. He exposes them because you prayed for protection, for clarity, for truth. He's answering your prayer by showing you who they truly are. Every time someone betrays your trust, talks behind your back, uses your kindness, or takes advantage of your generosity, that's not just a coincidence. That's divine revelation. God is saying, stop giving access to people who have no intention of valuing you. He keeps showing you the pattern until you finally stop making excuses for their behavior. Because sometimes God isn't removing people from your life. He's removing the illusion you had about them. God also warns you through emotional exhaustion. Pay close attention to the people who drain your spirit. After spending time with them, do you feel weaker, stressed, insecure, or confused? God is not the author of confusion. People are. Confusion is a warning, not a normal feeling. When God places someone in your life, you feel elevated, strengthened, encouraged, and aligned. But when someone is not meant for you, your mind becomes crowded, your heart becomes heavy, and your peace disappears. That exhaustion is not you overthinking. It's God telling you, this person is costing you more than they are giving you. Your spiritual energy is precious. It is not meant to be drained by people who feed off your kindness, but never pour anything back. When you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, constantly explaining yourself, constantly trying to prove your worth, that's God showing you that this connection is damaging your spirit. Another way God warns you is through blocked blessings. Everything in your life will feel stuck around the wrong people. Your ideas stop flowing, your motivation dies, your goals feel distant, and your progress slows down. Why? Because some people are spiritual roadblocks. Their presence creates delay. distraction, and emotional clutter that keep you from becoming who God designed you to be. God will not let you elevate with people who are secretly praying for your downfall. He will not let you thrive with people who only want to use your gifts, but never celebrate your growth. He will stall what you're praying for until you remove what's sabotaging it, and sometimes, you won't even realize how blocked you were until those people leave, and suddenly everything in your life begins to move again. When doors stop opening, when opportunities vanish, when progress halts, ask God, who around me is not meant to go where I'm going? Because God won't bless you in a place He's trying to pull you away from. Finally, God warns you by creating distance. Even when you don't understand it, people will start to drift, conversations will fade, relationships will break, and connections will dissolve. And your heart may want to hold on, but your spirit knows this is divine separation. God removes people quietly, not through drama, but through distance. Not through chaos, but through closure. He allows misunderstandings, conflicts, silence, and emotional disconnects to protect you from deeper harm. What feels like loss is actually protection. What feels like rejection is actually redirection. God separates you because He heard conversations you didn't hear, saw intentions you couldn't see, and witnessed actions you never knew happened. Trust the separation, trust the silence, trust the ending. When God removes someone, it is because their presence was blocking something greater He has planned for you. So listen closely. God is always speaking. Through your feelings, through patterns, through exhaustion, through blocked blessings, and through distance. When God warns you about someone, take it seriously. Don't fight for people He is trying to remove. Don't hold on to someone He already revealed. Don't let your emotions overpower divine instruction. Because every time you ignore God's warnings, you only delay what He's preparing for you. But when you trust Him, obey Him, and walk away from what He exposes, He will lead you to relationships that uplift you, environments that grow you, and people who honor the value He placed inside you. God never removes without replacing. He never warns without purpose. He never takes without restoring. So trust the signs, trust the shift, trust the discomfort. Because that is how God warns you about people who were never meant to stay in your life. God's warnings rarely arrive with lightning and thunder. They come quietly, gently, through moments that feel small but carry a deep spiritual message. And one of the clearest ways He warns you about certain people is through the shift in your inner peace. When your spirit reacts before your mind does, that is God speaking. You find yourself feeling uneasy around someone, and you can't explain why. You feel emotionally unsettled after talking to them, even though nothing dramatic happened. You notice that your mood darkens or your energy drops whenever they enter your space. That is not a coincidence. Peace is God's language, and its absence is His warning. When God is trying to protect you from someone, He disrupts the peace so you cannot ignore the truth. That discomfort you feel is not fear. It is discernment. It is God whispering, pay attention. Something here is not right. So many people pray for clarity but ignore the very signs they ask for. If your spirit feels drained, disturbed, or weighed down by someone's presence, that is God revealing what your eyes cannot yet see. Another powerful warning comes through emotional inconsistency. People will show you who they are through subtle, repeated behaviors that eventually form a pattern. They apologize but do the same things again. They act kind in public, but cold in private. They comfort you when you're useful, but disappear when you're hurting. God lets you experience these moments not to break your heart, but to open your eyes. He doesn't expose someone's character to shame them. He exposes it to protect you. Every time someone makes you question your worth, every time they make you feel like a burden, every time they twist the truth, dismiss your feelings, or turn their mistakes into your fault, God is showing you the deeper reality. Because even if you miss the signs the first time, God will repeat them until you understand. People's actions don't lie. Their patterns don't lie. And when someone consistently drains your peace or misses your kindness, that is God telling you, this person cannot go where I'm taking you. God also warns you through sudden confusion. You'll notice that around certain people, your mind becomes foggy, your decisions become unclear, and your confidence slowly fades. Confusion does not come from God. He is a God of clarity. When someone's presence makes you doubt yourself, question your value, or lose your sense of direction, that is a spiritual warning. Confusion is often the first sign that someone is speaking into your life from a place of selfishness, insecurity, or manipulation. It's the enemy's tool to distract you, divide you, and derail you from your path. And God, in His mercy, allows that confusion to bother you, so that you don't settle in the wrong environment. When you can't think straight around someone, when conversations leave you feeling mentally scattered instead of stable, that is God saying, this connection is harming your spirit. Clarity is safe. Confusion is a caution sign. Pay attention. One of the strongest warnings God gives comes through drained purpose. Everything in your life starts slowing down around the wrong people. You lose motivation. You stop praying as deeply. Your goals don't excite you the way they used to. You feel stuck, stagnant, unproductive, and you can't figure out why. That is because certain people carry spiritual weight that attaches itself to your momentum. Their negativity, their jealousy, their doubts, their hidden intentions, all of it interferes with the path God designed for you. God will sometimes hold back blessings when you're connected to someone who can't be trusted with your next level. He will not elevate you beside people who secretly resent your growth. He will not bless you around people who will sabotage what He gives you. So if you feel like your life hasn't been moving forward, if your dreams feel paused, if your progress feels blocked, ask yourself, who around me is draining my purpose? Because sometimes the blessing is not delayed, it's being protected. And finally, God warns you through divine separation. Connections begin to fade without reason. Conversations stop flowing. The bond weakens. Misunderstandings happen out of nowhere. You start feeling disconnected, distant, or emotionally numb towards someone you once felt close to. You may try to hold on, but something inside you is already letting go. That is not just life. That is God intervening. He will remove people quietly when you refuse to let them go. He will allow distance to protect you from deeper wounds. What seems like rejection is often God's redirection. What feels like an ending is actually an answer to the prayer you once whispered. You may not understand it immediately, but later you'll realize that God pulled someone away because He heard conversations you didn't hear, saw actions you never witnessed, and knew intentions they hid from you. Divine separation is not punishment, it is protection. So when God warns you, listen. He warns through discomfort, through repeated patterns, through confusion, through drained motivation, and through distance. These signs are not meant to scare you but to guide you. God sees what you don't. He knows what you don't. And He protects in ways you sometimes only understand after the fact. Never ignore the spiritual discomfort that follows certain people. Never overlook the uneasiness in your soul. Never silence the voice within that says, something is wrong. That voice is God. That feeling is guidance. And those signs are His way of keeping your life aligned with the purpose, peace, and people He designed for you. God's warnings rarely arrive in the dramatic ways we expect. Most of the time, they come as gentle signals woven into everyday interactions. And one of the clearest ways He reveals someone's true intentions is through the way they treat your heart. You may not see their motives, their thoughts, or their hidden feelings, but God does, and He begins to expose these things through small cracks in their behavior. When someone constantly belittles you, dismisses your emotions, or makes you feel unappreciated, those aren't little things. Those are warnings. God will use the way someone talks to you, the way they respond when you're vulnerable, the way they act when you're hurt, to show you who is safe and who isn't. People who are meant to stay in your life bring peace, not psychological warfare. They lift your confidence, not poison your worth. But when someone talks down to you, mocks your dreams, or uses your weaknesses against you, that discomfort is God saying, this person does not love you the way you love them. Pay attention. God will not let you stay blind to someone who is slowly damaging your spirit. Another way God warns you is through emotional imbalance. You'll notice that the relationship feels one-sided. You're always giving, always understanding, always showing up, while they are inconsistent, unavailable, or indifferent. God shines a light on this imbalance because He knows your heart deserves reciprocity, not exhaustion. When someone's presence brings more anxiety than comfort, more questions than answers, more tears than joy, it is not love. It is a warning. God often allows you to feel the emotional weight of a connection, so you won't settle for something beneath your worth. You'll start noticing that you're always the one initiating conversations, fixing problems, apologizing first, or trying to hold the bond together. That is not your responsibility, it is your sign. God doesn't want you tied to people who only take from you, but give nothing back. He doesn't want you clinging to someone who benefits from your presence, but doesn't value it. So he lets you feel the exhaustion, not as punishment, but as protection, a way to say, you are giving too much to someone who gives too little. God also warns you by revealing someone's true character in moments of conflict. Pay attention to how they act when they're angry, jealous, or disappointed. That's when people stop pretending. That's when their mask slips. Someone who truly cares for you may disagree with you, but they will not destroy you in the process. They will not use your mistakes as ammunition. They will not attack your identity or manipulate your vulnerabilities. But someone who was never for you will show their true colors the moment things don't go their way. They'll speak to you with disrespect, treat you with coldness, or react with cruelty, and afterward try to blame you for it. God lets you see this side for a reason. Conflict is the doorway to someone's real nature. He is showing you how this person might treat you long term. He is showing you the danger of ignoring red flags. He is showing you the truth hidden behind charm, kindness, or sweet words. When a conflict reveals someone's dark side, that is God saying, this is who they really are. Do not ignore it. One of the strongest warnings God gives is a loss of spiritual alignment. Around certain people, you'll notice your prayer life weakens. Your focus shifts. You start compromising your standards. You become more distracted, more insecure, more disconnected from God's voice. The enemy often uses people as distractions, and God will let you feel that spiritual drift so you don't mistake a temptation for a blessing. The right people lead you closer to purpose. The wrong ones pull you away from it. When someone's influence makes you less of who God created you to be, less peaceful, less focused, less strong, less confident, that is a divine signal. God doesn't just protect your heart, He protects your destiny, and He will warn you the moment someone's presence threatens the future He planned for you. When you feel spiritually heavy, distant from your values, or wrapped in confusion around a person, that is not chemistry, that is caution. God is signaling that this connection is weakening your spiritual foundation. Finally, God warns you through opportunities that fall apart when the wrong people are involved. Have you ever noticed that blessings begin to slow down when certain people enter your life? Your goals don't progress. Your plans get delayed. Your creativity dries up. Your peace disappears. That's because some people carry spiritual interference. Their intentions, their jealousy, their negativity, or their hidden resentment create a block in your energy and path. God will not allow you to succeed while connected to someone who will sabotage that success. So He will delay the blessing, not to punish you, but to protect your future from the wrong hands. And sometimes, the moment that person leaves, everything in your life starts flowing again. Doors open, clarity returns, opportunities appear, and your spirit feels lighter. That is not coincidence. That is divine alignment. God removes what slows you down so you can rise into what He has prepared for you. In every season of your life, God sends warnings through disrespect, emotional imbalance, conflict, spiritual heaviness, and blocked blessings. These signs may feel uncomfortable, but they are full of divine truth. Don't ignore the feelings that disturb your spirit. Don't overlook the behaviors that break your peace. Don't justify the patterns that God keeps exposing. When God warns you about a person, He is not trying to take something valuable away from you. He is trying to protect the value within you. Trust His signs. Trust His voice. Trust His guidance. Because God will never allow the wrong people to stay in your life without first giving you the chance to walk away. When God is trying to warn you about certain people, one of the clearest signs He uses is the sudden shift in the relationship. The moment when something that once felt natural begins to feel uncomfortable, uncertain, or heavy. This shift is not accidental, it is God disrupting the connection so you don't stay attached to something that was never meant to last. You start noticing little changes. Conversations feel forced, their tone becomes different, their presence drains you, and you feel emotionally unsafe sharing your heart the way you used to. These subtle changes are God's way of pulling back the veil, reminding you to pay attention to the spirit behind the connection instead of just the history or the chemistry. When a bond begins to feel harder to maintain, when the laughter is replaced with tension, and when you find yourself questioning their intentions more than trusting them, that's not just life. That is divine warning. God will shake what is not built on truth. He will destabilize what you're trying too hard to hold together. And He will let things feel off, so that your spirit wakes up and sees the reality your heart has been trying to ignore. Another way God warns you is through revealing someone's reactions to your blessings. Pay close attention to how someone responds when good things happen for you. People who genuinely care for you will celebrate your growth, your progress, your success, and your answered prayers. But people who carry hidden envy will offer shallow congratulations, uncomfortable silences, or subtle negativity disguised as advice. They may downplay your achievements, make you feel undeserving, or shift the conversation back to themselves. God allows these moments because He wants you to see who is growing with you and who is secretly hoping you never outgrow them. Jealousy is one of God's loudest warnings. He will expose the envy through their tone, their energy, their sudden distance, or their unexpected criticism. Blessings don't just reveal God's goodness. They reveal people's hearts. And when someone cannot stand to see you rise, God is showing you that they cannot walk with you into your next season. God also warns you through tension that comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the bond starts to feel unstable. Small misunderstandings turn into big arguments. Miscommunication becomes frequent. You no longer feel understood, valued, or emotionally supported. These moments aren't random conflict. They are spiritual friction. God is separating you from someone who will not be good for your future. He will allow disagreements to surface so you stop idealizing the connection. He will let the relationship feel strained so you no longer cling to it out of comfort or familiarity. Sometimes, God allows conflict not to destroy the relationship, but to expose the truth within it. He wants you to see how they handle pressure, how they speak when they're angry, and how they treat you when things don't go their way. The real version of a person shows up in these moments, and God reveals it so you understand who you're truly dealing with, not the version you hoped they were. Another powerful warning from God appears when you start losing yourself in the relationship. You compromise your values, your standards, and your identity just to keep the peace. You find yourself walking on eggshells, silencing your feelings, minimizing your needs, or pretending you're okay to avoid conflict. This internal imbalance is God saying, this connection is costing you too much. Anything that disconnects you from your God-given identity is not from Him. When you start feeling smaller, weaker, or emotionally dimmer around someone, that is evidence of spiritual misalignment. God will allow the discomfort to grow stronger until you can no longer ignore the truth. You weren't created to shrink to fit someone's world. You weren't created to lose yourself in fear of losing someone else. And when God sees you slipping into patterns that diminish your worth, He will send warning after warning until you finally recognize that this relationship is pulling you away from who He created you to be. One of the final ways God warns you is by making the relationship impossible to hold on to. Everything becomes harder. The connection no longer flows. The communication weakens. The trust cracks. The respect fades. You try to fix it, but nothing works. You try to rebuild, but it keeps falling apart. God will close a door when you refuse to. He will allow emotional distance, silence, misunderstanding, or separation because He knows the relationship has reached its spiritual expiration date. What you call falling apart is actually God removing someone who can't go with you into your next chapter. What you call loss is God's protection. What you call heartbreak is divine redirection. You may not understand it at first, but later you'll see that God never takes anything without replacing it with something better, healthier, and more aligned with your purpose. So when God warns you about people, listen closely. He reveals the truth through shifts in peace, through jealousy, through conflict, through emotional imbalance, and through relationships that simply stop working no matter how much you try. These warnings are not meant to scare you. They are meant to save you. God sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And He will always protect you from people who are not meant to walk the journey ahead of you. Trust the signs, trust your spirit, trust the separation, because God never removes without reason, and He never warns without purpose. When God wants to warn you about someone, He often does it in the most unexpected yet unmistakable ways. Through the slow erosion of your peace, the dimming of your spirit, and the quiet whispers within your soul that say, "This person is not who they appear to be." One of the strongest warnings He gives is when someone begins to pull you away from your purpose. You don't notice it at first, it begins subtly. Your routines change. The dreams you once pursued with confidence start to feel distant. Your motivation fades. Your spiritual fire weakens, and the things that once mattered deeply to you begin to slip through your fingers. This internal shift is not accidental. It is God signaling that the presence of this person is interfering with His plan for your life. When someone's influence starts to delay your growth, distort your clarity, or diminish your potential, that is a divine alert. God will allow you to feel the weight of the distraction so you realize that the connection is slowly pulling you off the path He designed for you. Purpose doesn't die suddenly. People drain it, and when God exposes that drain, He is urging you to step back before the wrong person takes you further from your calling than you ever intended to go. Another profound way God warns you is through emotional turbulence. When someone is wrong for your spirit, your heart knows it before your mind does. You start feeling anxious without reason, mentally unsettled after conversations, and emotionally shaken even when the situation doesn't make sense. God uses emotional imbalance as a warning because He created you with spiritual instincts that are sensitive to danger long before the danger becomes visible. Some people carry chaos in their spirit, and the moment they enter your life, your peace becomes their casualty. If you notice yourself feeling drained, frustrated, confused, or heavy around someone, that is not weakness. That is discernment. Peace is God's confirmation. Disturbance is His caution. When your emotional state changes for the worse because of someone's presence, God is saying, "This person is not aligned with the destiny I have for you." Never ignore emotional disruption. It is often the first signal that God is trying to protect you from a relationship that could damage your heart, your identity, and your future. God also warns you through silence, the silence of someone's actions, contradicting their words. People may speak beautifully, promise commitment, offer loyalty, and express interest, but God reveals their truth through what they do, not what they say. You'll notice that they show up only when convenient, invest only when they need something, support you only when it benefits them. They speak with love but act with indifference. They make you feel wanted but never make you feel safe. And God allows these contradictions because He wants you to see what your emotions are trying to overlook. A person who is inconsistent is a person God is exposing. A person who confuses you is a person God is cautioning you against. A person who makes you feel uncertain is a person God is revealing as unstable ground. Words are easy, actions are divine evidence. And when someone's actions repeatedly fail to reflect the love or loyalty they claim to give, God is saying, believe what they do, not what they say. Another major warning God sends is through stagnation. When everything in your life begins to pause, slow down, or lose momentum after someone enters your world, your creativity fades, your ideas stop flowing, your opportunities shrink, and your progress feels blocked. This stagnation isn't random, it is a spiritual signal. Some people carry an energy that interferes with your growth, and God will not allow your life to flourish in a place He is trying to pull you away from. When blessings stop moving, relationships stop growing, and your spirit stops rising, it's because something around you is not aligned with God's will. He will delay certain doors from opening until the wrong person is no longer connected to you. The moment you release them, everything begins to move again, clarity returns, opportunities reappear, and your spirit feels free. That sudden shift is not accidental. It is confirmation that God was waiting for you to let go of the weight holding your blessings hostage. Finally, God warns you through sudden disconnection. People drift, communication fades, the bond weakens, the warmth disappears. It hurts, but the separation is divinely orchestrated. You may think it's coincidence, distance, or misunderstanding, but it is God saying, "This person cannot go where I'm taking you." He hears conversations you never heard. He sees betrayals you never witnessed. He knows intentions they hid from you. So he cuts the tie quietly, calmly, without drama. He removes them before they harm you more deeply. He ends what you would have stayed in out of loyalty, hope, or fear. And even though you may want to hold on, God is guiding you to release what was never meant to be permanent. Divine separation is God's protection disguised as loss. The ending is the warning. The distance is the signal. The silence is the message. So when God warns you about someone, don't ignore it. He warns through lost purpose, emotional imbalance, inconsistent behavior, stagnation, and sudden separation. These signs are not meant to frighten you. They are meant to save you. God is never trying to take something from you. He is trying to protect something within you. Trust His signs. Trust His voice. Trust His timing. And most of all, trust that every warning is His way of leading you toward the peace, love, and future you truly deserve.